Have you ever felt like you're pouring your heart out, but the only answer is silence? Some days, it feels like your prayers just dissolve into the air, unheard. Take a deep breath. Notice the heaviness in your chest, the way your shoulders carry more than just your own weight. There's a silence that doesn't comfort, but instead makes you wonder if you're really alone in all of this. Maybe you've been waiting for a sign, for a whisper, for anything, something to show you that all you're trying isn't for nothing. Maybe you're tired, not just in your body, but somewhere deeper, where hope used to live. And yet, somehow, you keep going. You keep showing up, even when it feels pointless. What if the silence you hear isn't emptiness, but preparation? What if you're closer to something than you realize? Maybe you haven't told anyone how tired you really are. Maybe you keep the heaviness tucked away, out of sight, even from yourself. There's a kind of weariness that settles in quietly, doesn't ask for permission, and refuses to leave. It's the ache that lingers after you've done everything right, after you've tried again and again to believe, to hope, to keep moving forward. How long have you been carrying a weight you can't quite explain? How many times have you wondered if you're the only one who struggles to keep faith alive when nothing seems to change? People talk about staying strong, but what if you're too weary to pretend? What if the silence is all you hear, and it makes you question everything you thought you knew? You might feel like you're failing, like real faith is supposed to be louder or brighter or more certain than this. Maybe there's a quiet shame that creeps in, shame for not being enough, for not feeling what you think you should. Sometimes, it's easier to hide your doubts behind a smile, to nod along when someone says it'll get better, even when you're not so sure. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered if you're just going through the motions, hoping something inside will finally spark back to life? Do you ever feel guilty for struggling, as if exhaustion is a sign that you've let everyone, including yourself, down? You're not alone in this hidden battle, even if it feels like it some days. Strong faith doesn't always look strong. Even those who seem certain have moments of quiet surrender, of questions that echo in the night. Maybe you've spent so long holding it together, you've forgotten what it feels like to let the truth show. Maybe, just for a moment, it's okay to admit that you're tired. Sometimes, in the middle of all this weariness, I catch a glimpse of something gentle moving beneath the surface, like those seeds that lie silent under the earth, holding on in the dark, waiting for the right moment to break open. I wonder if the silence around me could be more than emptiness. Maybe it's a kind of waiting room, a hidden place where something is quietly forming, slow and unseen. There are days when a breeze slips through the window just before the rain comes, bringing with it a softness I can't quite name. It isn't an answer and it doesn't take the weight away, but for a moment, it feels like a hand resting light on my shoulder. Sometimes, when I think I can't take another step, I find myself standing anyway, balanced by something I can't explain. I remember nights when the darkness felt endless, and yet, somehow, the morning always arrived, light unfolding shyly, never in a rush. There's a comfort in the way dawn refuses to be hurried, how it stretches slowly across the sky, reminding me that not everything is meant to happen all at once. Maybe the absence I feel is more like a hush than a void. Maybe the stillness is a kind of breath being drawn, a pause before something new begins. I think about all the times I've been held together by threads I couldn't see, lifted by a quiet strength that never announced itself. It's not a loud hope, not a promise that everything will change overnight. It's more like a whisper that lingers in the air, a gentle nudge that perhaps the story isn't finished yet. Maybe even now, something is unfolding in the quiet, and all I need to do is breathe and wait for the first signs of light. Maybe this is what the silence means. Not absence, but the quiet work of something sacred hidden beneath the surface. It could be that what feels like emptiness is actually a pause, a breath drawn in before something new is spoken. Perhaps you're not abandoned, but being held in a kind of waiting room where the walls are made of patience and the light is dim but steady. This is the silence of God, not the silence of departure, but the hush that comes before dawn when seeds sleep deep in the earth. It's possible that what you call the end is actually a beginning, slow, and unhurried. Maybe what you mistake for distance is a form of care, a presence so gentle it almost escapes notice. When the world is quiet and your prayers seem to echo into an empty room, perhaps you are being gestated from the inside, changed in ways you cannot yet see, prepared for a future you cannot yet imagine. The darkness is not a void, but a womb. The stillness is not punishment, but protection. The lack of answers is not neglect, but space for something to take root and grow in secret. The small comforts, the soft wind on your face, the fragile light growing at the horizon, the weight of your own slow breath. These are not random. They are reminders that you are still being carried, even when you feel most alone. So maybe this is not about waiting for a rescue, but about learning to rest in the mystery. Maybe the silence is not empty after all. Maybe it is full of possibility, full of the quiet hope that you are being transformed little by little in ways you cannot yet name. It is possible that this is not the end, but the sacred pause before everything changes. Maybe right now you feel a quiet relief, or maybe it's just a single tear that finally found its way down your cheek. Perhaps there's a gentle warmth, a small flicker of hope stirring where everything once felt empty. If what you've heard so far makes sense to you, even if you don't fully understand it, that's already faith growing in the unseen places of your heart. Sometimes, simply choosing to listen, to breathe, to remain for one more moment is the bravest prayer you could offer. If these words have settled inside you, if you feel that gentle resonance, you can whisper a silent amen or let your heart agree in its own quiet way. Or maybe you just want to pause and press your hand to your chest as a sign that you're still here, still holding on. And know this, you're not alone in this gentle waiting. There are others listening now, feeling what you feel, holding their own questions and silent hopes. Even in the spaces where it seems no one sees or hears you, there's a quiet community, a tapestry of souls holding each other up in ways that words cannot capture. This sacred pause is not empty. It's filled with a mystery that is gently preparing you for what's next. Let your heart breathe in this moment, trusting that something holy draws near, even if you can't yet name it. Stay with this silence a little longer. The story isn't finished, and a new light is waiting to be revealed. Maybe now, in this quiet moment, you begin to notice what was always true. God never left your side. Even in the silence, in the ache, when your words ran dry and you felt too tired to try again, He was there. Not waiting for your flawless prayers or perfect strength, but sitting gently beside you, sharing the weight you couldn't name. Jesus never came for the strong or the sure. He came for hearts weary like yours, for those who doubted, for those who could only breathe and hope. There were days when you thought you had let go, but He never let go of you. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to earn a place at the table. You are not loved less when you are tired, or when you feel empty, or when your faith seems small as a whisper. Even your silence was heard. Even your exhaustion was seen. The ache you carried never drove Him away. Instead, it drew Him nearer. This love is not a test, but a shelter. It is not reserved for those who have everything together, but especially for those who have nothing left to give. If you close your eyes for a moment, maybe you sense it now, a nearness that is gentle, a mercy that does not measure you by your efforts. There is rest here, not because you finally became strong, but because you let yourself be held. And maybe, just maybe, these quiet reassurances have been spoken to you before in a voice that echoes across centuries, waiting for a tired heart to listen again. Something sacred is unfolding. You are not alone, and the story isn't finished. The next step waits, a word you have needed, coming softly to meet you where you are. Sometimes words fail. You search for something to hold on to when your strength is gone and your heart feels empty. In these moments, when hope seems like a distant memory and all you have left is the weight of your own breath, there's a word that waits for you, not as a demand, but as a shelter. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. You don't need to be strong to hear this. You don't have to fix your faith or piece together broken prayers. This is not a promise trapped in ancient history. It's alive, it's soft, it's reaching for you right here, right now. There is no test to pass, no effort to summon. Only the honesty of your tired soul and the open arms of the one who sees you. Perhaps you thought you had to keep trying, had to keep proving, had to keep walking even when your feet gave out. But this invitation is gentle. It finds you exactly where you are, hidden, exhausted, uncertain. It rests beside you in the silence, whispering that you are not alone. It knows the ache you carry, the questions you can't answer, the nights you can't sleep. This isn't a command to get up and move. It's a place to sit and breathe, to let yourself be carried, just for a moment, by a love that asks nothing but your presence. This word has waited for you through every valley and every silence. It is the voice that calls you by name, not to work, but to rest. Let it find you tonight. Let it hold you, just as you are. For even when you are tired of trying, you are not forgotten, and you are never alone. Maybe today your prayer is simply to remain standing, or just to sit quietly, letting your breath rise and fall. Faith is sometimes only a sigh that carries hope, a silent waiting that doesn't rush or demand. You don't need to run. The seed of the word grows in the dark while you simply breathe. Even if it feels small or hidden, your faith is alive. Nothing is required of you except presence, not action, not answers, not a display of certainty. Just this gentle staying, this willingness to let the day pass and to let yourself be carried. Perhaps the most sacred thing you can do is to let yourself be here, imperfect and tired, with no need to fix or prove anything. The quiet rhythm of your ordinary life, the weight of your body, the tiredness in your bones, the silence that fills the room, all of this is spiritual. The way you open your hands in the dark, the way you keep showing up to your own life, even when it feels fragile or unfinished, is a kind of worship. There's no pressure here, no finish line to reach. The journey might be less about moving forward and more about moving inward, listening for what stirs beneath the noise. The invitation today is not to act, but to remain, to trust that even when nothing seems to be happening, grace is at work. In the hush of your routine, God is near. In your sighs, in your doubts, in your quiet longing, He is present. The story continues, not with grand gestures, but with every small breath of faith that you allow yourself to take. Here, in the ordinary, the sacred is already unfolding. Jesus, I don't have the right words. You know every hidden part of me, even the ones I barely understand. I'm tired. Sometimes it feels like my heart is soil left fallow, waiting for something to grow, but unsure if anything will. I don't want to pretend to be strong, not in front of you. I don't want to perform belief or certainty. I just want to be here in your presence, even if all I bring is silence. I confess I vedoted. I've wondered where you are, if you see me, if you remember me in the quiet spaces where I can't find answers. But in this tiredness, in this valley, you remain. You come close, not asking for my strength, but offering your arms. Thank you for not leaving me, even when I thought about giving up. Teach me to trust you, even when I can't feel the hope or the warmth. Let me be like a seed in the dark earth, hidden, still, but carried by your patience. Let my silence be enough. Let my waiting be a form of faith. If all I can do is stay, then let my staying be my prayer. You are present in the small things, in the slow hours, in the ache, and in the gentle mercies that arrive without a sound. Thank you for receiving me just as I am, unfinished, uncertain, but still reaching for you. Thank you for being the safe place where I can rest, where I can let go of trying to impress you, where I can simply breathe. Hold me here, Jesus, and if belief is a journey, let me walk it with you, step by step, even if my steps are weak. Let your grace fill the gaps where my faith runs thin. I am yours, even in silence, even in doubt. Help me believe again, not through my effort, but through your endless love. God is still with you. Even when you can't feel Him, He remains gentle, present, and holding you quietly. The seed planted today will grow, Even if all you see now is earth and silence. If all you manage today was to breathe, that is already prayer. If your heart is tired, know that you're not alone and never have been. This space is a safe place for your soul to rest and remember, you are loved, you belong, and you are carried by grace even in the quietest moments. If these words found a home in your heart, let your spirit respond with a simple amen. You can like this message as a silent sign of faith or share it with someone who might be waiting in their own silence too. Remember, you can always return here whenever you need to breathe, to rest, or to be reminded that you are not forgotten. If you wish to keep walking with us, you are welcome here. This space is yours as well. Rest in this gentle presence, and until we meet again, may you find peace in simply being held.